This is episode 303 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. He arrives precisely when he means to, Monsanto. Will, home field advantage, Hagewood.
If they build it, we will come.
And Ryan, fly, you fools, Staniszewski.
I thought we were all doing Gandalf quotes, Will. What happened?
No, represent Iowa. Come on, Field Dreams.
Represent Middle Earth.
Fair.
True. All right, as for announcements and news, there's kind of a big thing happening this week. The World Championships, guys. It's happening. We'll be live Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if you haven't heard, AMG posted today officially, and I did kind of like allude to this sort of kind of a little bit earlier. I don't know if it was like a spoiler, but that they will be doing a panel on Sunday at noon, I believe is what it was, right? Sunday at noon at Adepticon. I know one of the questions that came up almost immediately was, were we going to be streaming it? It's going to be in a different location than where our stream will be set up. And my understanding is, so one of the streamers will be there with their streaming kit. They've been specifically invited to do that. And the rest of us will get like seating so that we can like cover it and record stuff. But so we won't have live coverage outside of maybe me on my phone doing stuff, but we'll get you guys. That's going to be some live on the ground. Be ready to go when that time happens. Because here's the thing: is like it's at noon, and I'm pretty sure we're still going to be playing games at noon.
Yeah, that's the finals, isn't it?
Yeah. So
I'm sure we could get it done.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Put the hustle on it. And it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the what is that game? The Marvel Crisis Protocol team are going to be covering it live, but no guarantee on whether or not they even stick around for the X-Wing part. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm almost sure, like just like they've done in the past, right? The AMG, FFG, they have a big announcement and they just release it all on their website, the pictures and everything like that. Really, the biggest part is going to be anything live is anything that they say that doesn't get recorded. Is really, because sometimes, you know, just as natural in conversation, you drop little tidbits and nuggets here and there that you can kind of try to parse and try to figure out what is there. So I'm excited to see what ends up happening there. So that's it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Other announcements in news, of course, people have already started landing, and I've been getting tags like, "Oh, Dion, landed. You want to have dinner?" I'm like, I gotta be home with my kids, and I got a podcast today. But I would love to hang out with you. We can hang out on Wednesday night and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Oh, we can hang out then, but not until then. Wednesday night we'll be setting up and things like that. But up until then, once we get there, sure, why not? Let's hang out. Let's have a good time. And a quick reminder to Marcel, I think to double check your microphone setting because something sounds weird. Hello. And I'm gonna mute you until then. How can you mute yourself?
Sounds very webcammy.
It does sound webcam.
Probably the audio. Yeah. What about now?
Nope. Let's see.
Well, this one's
good.
Better now.
That sounds way better. There he is. See, I told you he arrives precisely when he's meant to. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be muted most of the time. I got my food.
Fantastic.
I show up to eat on stream. We need a food review after you're done.
Food review after you're done. Let us know how it is. Is that well? We'll talk about it later. All right. Well, and something else happened this last weekend. We completed Sector Series. We have a champion. Will, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, about the Sector Series?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been living under a rock, the Sector Series. Over the last months, been playing weekly games from 4 different sectors. Top 16 finally met up after some brutal wildcard rounds. And from those 4 people from 4 sectors met, and finally, there's only 2. We have Rob. Now I don't remember Rob's last name though.
Sabo.
But Sabo versus Kodre. Mm-hmm. And this, Aldrin, you're making me say the names, of course. Anyways, it was a battle. We gotta talk about this because both of them brought 6 ship lists. But
6 on 6.
2 assault as well. I was able to catch some of it. You got the play-by-play. You were able to stream it.
Yes, it is recorded. It's currently available for our Twitch subscribers to take a look at. Of course, it'll get transferred over to YouTube soon.
Both of them, though, bringing 6 ships to assault sounds smart. But both of them were actually flying like their tournament list. Been flying that list all throughout the cuts, as well as, I assume, most of the Swiss rounds. So which list do you want to look at first?
Let's start with the champion. He won it. He deserves the accolades. Let's go.
All right, so this is Rob's list. He is bringing the 6-ship FO. The efficiency 3-pointers, that's DT, Scorch, Lieutenant Gaelic, and Commander Malorus. But to round the 8 remaining points out, 2 4-point ships, and Whirlwind, the TIE Whisper, and Midnight, the I-6 TIE FO. Midnight being able to share her locks when she's shooting Magpulse warheads through the targeting synchronizer. It's got to be the best placement of targeting synchronizer I have ever seen, by the way. Being able to let other people use your locks, so Whirlwind and Commander Malorus can shoot those 3-dice attacks using Midnight's lock. Plus, she's got swarm tactics to bump Whirlwind up, so potentially taking 6 shots at initiative 5 and 6 in this list. I mean, get off both those clusters. Plus, you get the jamming from the Whirlwind as well. What was did he fly them in pairs? I didn't see the deployment deal. How did he position them?
Positioning wise, they were pretty spread out. It was pretty spread out. You had Scorch and DT together because that just kind of makes sense, right? They want to be out there just chucking dice together. But he had Midnight kind of close-ish by the other FOs. I would say if there was any type of like pairings, Midnight and Gaelic were sort of kind of beat by each other. Scorch and Scorch and DT were together. Malorus was kind of doing her own thing as well as Whirlwind.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely crazy list. Actually, I think he's in the chat. Sunset Cyber, just absolutely brutal. Just it was a crazy game. Lots of back and forth. And Rob, if you have any insight that you want to give us, please go ahead, post it in the chat. I was gonna ask you on, but I realized that I forgot to ask until about like an hour ago, and I was like, that's probably a little bit too late. But I guess you're watching, so if you really want to come on, shoot me a DM through Discord, and we can get you on for a few minutes just to say hi. You don't need video; it could just be voice. But yeah, just a really, really cool list. We got to see that. You mentioned the targeting synchronizer. Like, that was something that it's a card you normally don't think about. But yeah, you kind of had to in this matchup.
in the combination with swarm tactics as well.
Yeah.
So you're actually not even shooting first. You don't even like have a chance to use your lock before you feed it to another ship.
Yeah, it's super good. And just you know, I was saying this on the live stream, is like winning a this event was not easy. You had to play through 200-ish people to get to become the champion. Like it is awesome. And Rob was mentioning when we interviewed him right after the championship that it was unexpected. It was unexpected. I remember an episode not too long ago where you all said Midnight/Whirlwind wasn't a good combo. You know, I didn't see the Midnight swarm tactics, I'll be honest. Like seeing that in play made me go, okay, that's got some legs. Marcel's got something to say. He's trying to swallow quickly.
So I said that.
And I
said that
agree.
I said that was the best 4-4, but I don't think everyone said that was not good. I think some of y'all were saying like, oh, that's pretty good.
No, I generally agree with Marcel too. Look, you can. There's pros and cons to it, okay? And there's ways you can play around it or play against it. I mean, Midnight doesn't have boost, nor really wants to barrel that often. That Whirlwind's tethered to a TIE-FO dial in most of the game if it wants to take full advantage of Midnight's swarm tactics and the full combo. You gotta deploy them really well because they gotta get where they need to go. The game I actually had I played against Rob in Swiss, and he deployed his Midnight and Whirlwind in an opposite corner of where I kind of deployed some of my ships. He took advantage on the objective side of things with that, but they were pretty much out of the fight most of the game. So he ended up winning. It's a close game. But I think you need to deploy these two well. And obviously where Whirlwind goes down is kind of where Midnight goes down. So you kind of don't really have an I-6 deployment, really, if you're starting that combo off from deployment.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, in the game, swarm tactics was used on Whirlwind, I think, one time, but it was used, I think, on the TIE-FOs more often than not. If Rob, correct me if I'm wrong there. I feel like he used it to pump up some of those TIE fighter shots in order to do some initiative killing.
I mean, that could have been like opponent dependent. As we move on to the other ones, one of the problems with Whirlwind is he doesn't get those tokens till when he engages. So that's the reason why he's chosen to go up to 6 normally. But if you're like first player, there's like 2 or 3 like initiative 3s and 2s out there. Yeah, you could get him on a flank. He is like a really valuable piece in that list. Like nobody else is really jamming or doing that has a turret either.
Yeah,
So
and so to note too, when he played against me, he actually had cluster missiles on Midnight instead of Mag Pulse. And you see the name of the list, Whirlwind Swarm V3. He's been through iterations throughout this whole process, so he made the decision that he liked Mag Pulse on Midnight, which at I6, that already wants to lock, can still be pretty effective at nullifying opponents. But he did drop that damage potential of cluster to get that reach and debuffing effect and crit effect for salvage, and just crits are bad for some ships instead.
All right, looks like Rob is available. He's going to be joining us here in a minute. And that was one of the things, if you look at his list that we talked about, is while there were iterations, upgrade iterations during the tournament, especially after the first round, like he stepped with the same list from the second round on, minus some tweaking that happened in the upgrades, which is really cool. And we talked about, I think it was James and I, how in this format, the sector series format where you got to know the objective and you could tweak your list as needed, and that's to be halfway in between catering to trying to have competitive games every time and just having the time to think through each scenario, and of course not getting stuck playing the same list for however many weeks, unless you want to stick with the same one, which of course people
that does remind me.
Yeah.
What was the final scenario? I don't think that's been mentioned, was it?
Assault. It was assault at the satellite array. Yep. Assault at the satellite array. Okay, so looks like Rob will be here any minute now. Just waiting for him to jump in. While we're waiting for him, let's go ahead and go to our runner-up list. Let's do that. Let me pull it up right here. It was a resistance list. And Ryan, you've been flying a lot of resistance lately. Tell me about this list.
Depends on your definition of lately, but sure.
I mean, you are the person most recently to have played resistance in this group.
That might be true. Lulo in the RZ2 A-Wing with Heroic Predator Shield upgrade. We have Kaz with going the Notorious route. Kaz has so many good loadout options, but like this Notorious version where you take Illicit of Choice, which opted for Overtuned, Notorious, R1J5, so Bucket Astromech, Targeting Computer, and Kaz's Fireball. We have Zay with Heroic Marksmanship and R68, that Super Predator bot, and Jamming Beam, if you ever use it. Warby Tice with Trick Shot, so the 3-point RZ2 A-Wing. Finn with Heroic Elusive and Perceptive Co-Pilot, and then BB-8 with Han Solo and Automated Target Priority. So 6-ship resistance is much more viable or possible when you have that BB-8 for the 2-point cost. You pretty much can just staple Kaz and Finn in most resistance lists anyway. It's like they almost feel like when you take one, you probably want to take the other. Not that they're a duo close enough to Backstabber and Mauler, but they're that same 7-point total that you could just kind of attribute in most resistance lists, kind of like most Empire lists for Backstabber and Mauler team up. I think it was interesting. So I'm not sure yet Rorby Trice versus Meryl, because Meryl's another option at RZ2. Rorby obviously I4 with the Trick Shot to get that additional dice out the front and back when obstructed, and opting for a lot of large obstacles, very large actually, for this list. Maybe maximizing the uses of those RZ2 front and back arcs to limit how the opponent can engage, and using the pods and the Kaz and Zay to find a way to funnel the opponent into their jousting capabilities, while BB-8 just go does objective things.
Yeah, in the final match, the RZ2 A-Wings didn't quite get going. Because there was a 50-50 situation where it's like either you hit the gas and you basically jump past everything and you're fine, or you end up being short and you're hoping kind of the FO flew by you. That didn't happen, and we ended up with Lulo stressed in front of 4 of the TIE FOs and just...
That's not where you want to be.
No, got snapped away. The dice weren't great for Lulo, I will admit, but at the same time, you know, 50-50 situations are what they are. You either made the right choice or you didn't. Neither of them were wrong, because if the FO had hit the gas, that 2-bank, it was a 2-bank that he had done with Lulo would have been amazing. But alas, it's not what happened.
Yeah, I'd be curious for people who have tried out a sizable amount of games between Rorby, Tice, and Meryl. I kind of like Meryl for the... I mean, granted, it sounds really weird to say because nobody loves going under I4 right now.
Right.
But I1 Meryl blocking is really dangerous. Really dangerous because of Meryl's ability. And everyone here is shooting a primary attack. Everyone can take advantage of Meryl's ability to lower opponent's initiative... or not initiative, their agility value if they have them in bullseye when a friend is attacking.
Now, here's my question. Even though Sector Series has kind of like an alternative format, we're looking at. Let me pose that as a question. I'm going to pose this to Marcel. Are we looking here at two lists that are viable for the World Championships?
Yeah, of course. As we've been going through the boogeyman and all this other stuff, for the most part, every faction has options. Rebel probably being the most limited, or at least in terms of options that are doing well. But yeah, you put 6 ships out there. There's a way to get damage out there. There's a way to mitigate damage. There's a way to do the area control, the objectives. If I'm trying to think of, there's not a whole lot of lists that are dead in the water. Even like a lot of variations of, you take this list right here, and you swap out a couple pieces. Robbie, Merle. You can swap out Kazuda for another 4-pointer. There's a couple out there. There's things that you can do, or even Robbie for a Rose with a coordination. Coordinating Rose. Like there's things that you can do with a lot of factions that you can still win. Because one of the things is it's very matchup dependent, and it used to be like a rock paper scissors thing. If you're flying Sunterfell and Carnajax and stuff like that, and you line up against some TLTYs, you're gonna chew those TLTYs up. But those Y-wings with TLTs, if they match up against something else that's a little bit slower moving and can't get in that bubble, you're gonna eat them up. And it was a very easy. It was very easy to say like, oh, these are my good matchups, these are my bad matchups. But now when you add the additional factor of it's the matchup plus the objective, that same matchup like this list against that list changes, because now you've got the third variable that's kind of thrown in the mix. So yeah, I don't think there's any list that when you go to the tournament you're going to be at an advantage all the time or at a disadvantage all the time. And there's going to be a lot of luck that goes into when you get matched up against your bad list, an unfavorable matchup. You might get matched up against that unfavorable matchup in a objective or in a scenario that you do well at.
Right.
So again, it's a long-winded answer, but yeah, I think these 2 lists, having 6 ships, definitely viable in Worlds, and not many lists are not.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a second here, and we're going to bring in our champion of the Sector Series. Head over to this view here real quick. Rob, can you give me a quick check 1 2?
Check 1 2.
There we go. We're going to boost you just a bit on my side. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing awesome, still kind of basking in the glow, in the afterglow. So just really, really excited.
As you should. There was no small feat. So here's where I want to start. Is how'd you come upon the list? Is it something that you kind of workshop with other people? Were you inspired by something you saw? How did you get to where you were?
Well, it actually started out in the GSP Discord in the First Order chat. I had heard about the combo of Whirlwind and Midnight, and I thought that was interesting. The one who gave me the loadouts for Whirlwind at Midnight was crispy. He showed me how he loaded them out, and I was like, I like that. And then I was pretty much of the mind that I personally think right now that the most efficient value that you can get is those TIFOs, those 3-point TIFOs. You can get 3 reds and 3 greens on 4 to 5 health across 6 ships. It's nasty. It punches hard, and as long as you got some decent greens, they tend to stay alive, like on that 1 or 2 health on the opening engage. And if you cycle those targets well enough, if they don't kill them on the first round of engagement, they get out of the way, go grab some objectives, and come back around to hit hard again.
That's awesome. Well, before I take all the soapbox time, Will, Marcel, Ryan, feel free to throw anything out. What questions do you have for our campeón?
Rob, I'm curious. I know this doesn't get asked that often, but because we had the ability to change up our list throughout the event, did you actually change and try out different obstacles throughout the event? And what were your experiences in coming to what you have now, if you did change them?
No, I didn't change the obstacles. It was as simple as I've got 6 ships on the board. I'm going to go with small rocks just to mitigate my movement as much as possible. So if my opponent brought big rocks, it got to the point where, I'm putting down my I3 first. They know where Midnight's going to be, that I would actually hope that I would win road at the beginning of the game, so that I could place both of the big rocks far on my opponent's side of the field, so that way I can just navigate around the small rocks easily.
Yeah, I think I agree in general that small rocks are pretty good for those 6 FO lists. One, because as you said, a lot of ships move around and try and converge on a single target or targets that you want to go after. But then on top of that, most of your list doesn't boost. So, like, getting around obstacles, and you don't really want to barrel that often with them either. Like, you want to take your mods for offense or defense. So, giving more board space for everyone to move is, I think, correct.
Yeah, and that's something that sort of happened in the championship game. Was he did a good job placing the obstacles kind of far enough away in the center of the board that he ended up kind of really forcing me to kind of take all of my ships and put them through that tiny lane, which fortunately I was able to mass some fires on Kaz early on, and then get a nice couple of shots on Lulo to take him off the board. But it really limited my options there, because what my list wants to do is it just wants to keep guns on target the whole time, and I think my opponent did a really good job mitigating that.
So you have Assault in the final, and it's 6 ships to help with the objectives. What is your thoughts on the different scenarios, which is like your strength or the weakness of the list of them?
The strongest scenario is definitely, and I think this is a big strength of the list, is what is weakest for most other ones: salvage mission. My ships don't care about repositions, really, so I can just pick up crates and fly the list exactly the same way I would fly it in any other scenario. I would say that its weakest, from what I've seen, is actually assault at the satellite array. With the list, out of all the games that I've played, I'm 15-2 with this list. And both of my 2 losses were assault at the satellite array against lists that had medium or large bases.
Well, it worked out. It worked out. That's crazy. That's crazy that it was your weakest. Now, so you said the 2 losses were against lists that had large base ships, bigger ships?
Medium and large, yeah.
Medium and large. All right. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But probably in a straight up 6-on-6, you probably didn't feel too bad about it. Was my guess.
Yeah, it was tough because with it being 6-on-6 the way it is, I don't necessarily want to spread my ships across the board and allow him to mass fires on any one of them. So the way he set up kind of in the corner when we were playing in the championship kind of made it difficult for me to do what I normally want to do, which is I typically spread out a little bit and I usually keep Scorch and DT like kind of they can operate on their own and kind of send them into the center of the board with Scorch closest to wherever the enemy is, because he's not taking those strains like DT is, and he's got that 5 health on 3 agility, so he can usually eat some shots and then zoom out of the way after taking an objective or two. And then I'd usually keep Malorus, Whirlwind, and Midnight kind of close together with Gallic kind of following through where Scorch and DT were going to kind of support. And I'm usually able to get 3 points around in most objective scenarios, or at least in the first couple of rounds until the scrum really happens.
Awesome. Marcel, you got anything?
Finding the mute button. No questions. Just honestly, just congratulations. First Order. Obviously, a fan of First Order, yeah, like Ryan said, a couple of us were saying that's probably not what we felt was optimal, but proof's in the pudding. I mean, you made it through, and you won. So congratulations on that. And yeah, no, I actually, my main question was the one that William asked already about which scenario gave you the hard time. And mostly I just wanted to ask that because I have only 1 ship difference in my list than yours. And I thought your answer was kind of interesting because it's not what I feel is my weakest matchup, but it's interesting the way that you phrase it. For me, I think the toughest one is the one with the 3, because you have to keep giving up your actions to and there's no coordinator or anything out there, so you have to keep sacrificing your actions, your tokens, and that leaves you vulnerable with little ships that pop. But no,
you got 6 of them. There's only 3 objectives. You'll be fine, probably.
Yeah, they pop quick.
At least might kill everybody, right? We can't kill everybody.
I would say Scramble's probably like the second worst, and the only reason I say that Assault is the worst is because that is the scenario that I have my only 2 losses with the list, and so as far as like just basing it purely off the statistics of my list, I have to say that.
And that's true, Marcel. Thinking about maybe your personal practice and matches that you played is maybe reflecting in how many assault games did you play against large and medium ships. Because if you didn't, there might be something to consider for when it comes. Because Boba Fett gonna be out there.
I didn't play enough to say, but I played more of this than that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that he specifically said his losses were to medium or large base centric lists in Assault. So while any only small base list might have that difficulty in any matchup against those, I think once you're in a matchup where there's maybe not prevalency of large or medium ships, and obviously you saw in the final against another opposing small ship, 6 ship list.
Yeah, I think also maybe having only 1 ship that boosts might also be sometimes you need that boost in order to nab that.
Yeah, speed to get around and contest it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually with Whirlwind, on the opening engage, he's really tied to Midnight because you want to get those clusters off. And most of the time when I fly the list, so is Malorus, just to be just a very scary jousting block of 3 ships. And then Whirlwind can kind of go off on his own, grab some objectives, and come back around to hit them from behind.
So, Rob, I'd love to give just some background information. I want to learn about who is Rob. Rob, how'd you get into X-Wing?
So actually, I started in like December, January 2019, 2020, like right in that time frame. while I was in the Army, I was stationed out in Hawaii, and guys they called themselves the Mililani Starfighter Association out there kind of got me into the game at some of the shops out in Honolulu, and I fell in love with X-Wing immediately. And then I got out of the Army later that year in August and moved to Indianapolis. And then the Hangar 19 guys just kind of took me under their wing, and those guys are super competitive and kind of really put me through the ringer as far as like learning how to play competitively. And then I brought that knowledge and that experience down here to where I'm currently at in Louisville with a lot of the guys down here in Kentucky. And that combination sort of all different kinds of play styles and different people from all over the place has kind of helped me develop my skills as a player. But starting in 2020, I actually played in the first Space Jam event.
Yeah.
Because that was where the beginning of my X-Wing really started. Because like I said, it started in like January 2020, so I only got a couple months of actual in-person play before it was all online. And I did not do well in that Space Jam. I think I was like in the bottom like 20 or something. And
well, look at how far you have come, my friend. That's huge. That is a massive. As a teacher, my brain goes growth. That's awesome.
Yep, and I flew FO in that tournament too. So I've been able to develop my FO skills.
That's awesome. And I would say it's pretty lucky that you have hit, like, I'm familiar with all three of those locations, like the X-Wing players in those areas. You hit all those places at the right time. Great people to introduce you to a game. The indie guys are super competitive. Obviously, us being from Chicago, we've played them a bunch. We know that they're really good, and we know a bunch of the people down in Louisville. They're awesome. They're great people, and also very competitive and very good. So yeah, you definitely won some dice rolls on the RNG of local X-Wing players.
On the RNG.
Random, like
random numbers,
you were lucky enough to have run into these people.
Yes, I was very lucky. It was a great combination of people to get me into the game.
Well, that's awesome. And is FO like your favorite faction? Is that where you at? Are you dabble in anything else?
Well, my first faction was Rebels, as a lot of people probably are, but FO was my very close next faction, and it quickly became my favorite faction to fly. I liked flying in 2.0. I liked flying FO triple aces. I had it was Kylo, Backdraft, and Quick Draw, I believe, early on, and I just kind of fell in love with the way FO flew. It was just cool, Empire with shields, and I just thought that was cool.
And then just the last background question for you is, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
What's my favorite Star Wars movie? Rogue One, for sure.
Good choice.
That movie redefined what Star Wars was for me, and I thought that the timing in my life when that movie came out, and how it sets up the original trilogy, I just thought that was really cool. Not to mention that sweet Darth Vader scene at the end.
So good. Well, Rob, thank you so much for your time. It was great to get a little insight into you, just learn more about you, and kind of little homecoming here into the community, because you got to watch out for Rob. Now, I think you had mentioned that you were not going to be able to make the World Championships this year.
Unfortunately, no. My wife's very busy with work right now, and needs me to be back here to help take care of our son.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
How's your son?
He's 2. He's 2 years and 3 months.
That's a fun time.
Yep. He's a wild one right now.
Yep. Been there and gonna get another 2-year-old time again here soon, but. Well, I'm going to say to X-Wing players out there, watch out for Rob. He's ready to strike. As soon as this guy can get out and start playing in these big events, you got to watch out because he's coming for you. He's a serious,
Rob, do you
serious
think
conductor.
you have plans to what your next big event is going to be? Like, are you thinking maybe Gen Con or Nova Open or all the way out to Las Vegas Open or the Lone Star Open, maybe, if that becomes an official AMG event? I don't think it's normally been.
Probably Gen Con, just because we're moving back to Indianapolis when my wife's residency program is done this summer, and so I think it'd be a good opportunity to really play in a big tournament locally in Indianapolis, and hopefully be able to go far there.
Yeah, Indy's a good hub. You're close enough to Gen Con. Obviously, the Hangar 19 guys are very active, and you're not too far from us here in Chicago. So, not too. Watch out, guys. He's coming. Is the point? All right. He's coming. He was strike from nowhere. Rob, the arrival, is coming. Thank you so much for your time, my friend. To exit, you just got to close the browser window. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Whew. That FO list, man. You gotta watch out. You know, one thing I didn't get to ask him is, like, I know that this FO, like, variation has, like, been popping up in Discords and stuff like that. But at the same time, when somebody wins with something like that, it always causes some type of shift in the Force. Even though it's just a week before Worlds, you might see some influence of these last two finals lists making impact, especially for people who really pay attention to the meta. And it could be as small as somebody reconsidering the use of a certain pilot, or just being like, hey, maybe I should play a couple practice games against this FO thing that I haven't practiced against. You know, you never know. So again, Rob, definitely a difference maker, and I'm curious to see what impact we see as we look at lists and things like that.
Well, should then we consider talking a little more about the core four of the FO then?
Yeah, let's hit it. That's like kind of
Man before Worlds.
the final the Boogie Bros, the Boogie Squad. What do we got, Brian?
The Boogie fam.
The Boogie fam. There you go.
So I've started to deem them the core four, but not all FO lists go to 6. Some go to 5, and they might only use 3 of these. We'll discuss even further maybe which one someone would leave out. But these are the core 4 TIE FOs people have been bringing or highly considering when bringing the First Order. I think it always starts with Commander Malrus. I think there's literally been 90 to 100% usage rate of Malrus in any FO list. We know what she can do. Her ability, used twice a game to stress, and then all your eyeballs become evades or hits when you're attacking or defending. Very great ability. Works really well with a 4-point missile called Cluster Missile, or some people like Mag Pulse Missile, because she's also I-5. And then we have what some of my friends like to call the Bean Bros. You have Scorch and DT, both of them taking a negative-based red token. For Scorch, it's a stress. For DT, it's a strain. And I believe it's when they're not already stressed for Scorch and not already strained for DT. So there's a little bit of play around some of that if any ships can weaponize that in any capacity. But both of them can take that when they go to attack to roll 1 more attack dice in their attack, whether it is at range to 1, 2, or 3. Doesn't matter. No restrictions. And then there's Lieutenant Gaelic. I would say kind of the sleeper standout. I mean, when we saw DT 798 in the Hotshots and Aces previews, we're like, oh, this is like Scorch 2.0. It might even be a better Scorch. We'll just see what DT's loadout's going to be. It ended up being the same as Scorch, so we have anywhere from shield upgrades on both to some people like kitting them out with some stuff, whether it's Scorch with advanced optics, Predator, or Elusive, and No, it's Predator, Loose, Advance. I don't know. Will you know some of the loadouts? I just slap Shield Upgrade on them. DT is big with
yeah.
Shield Upgrade, and then also some people have been trying out because he does. I mean, he gets to use his ability even if he stresses himself. So Proud Tradition Pattern Analyzer. You know, if you wait a turn and then get behind them and start shooting with your strain, maybe you can do that. But Gaelic, I think a lot of people were waiting to see. Okay, she's an I5. Her ability is very disciplined or hopeful or etc. Like where she can coordinate a friendly after a friendly ship of range 0 to 2 it's destroyed. Any friendly ship, she can perform a coordinate even while stressed, but the coordinate can only be actions she has on her action bar. Which, when you're flying a whole bunch of FOs anyway, not a problem. But the key is she gets enough not only to have a cannon slot, but enough loadout to take most cannons that you would consider. Ion or Tractor tend to be the top two right now. Most people adopted Ion first, and then kind of people dabbled in Tractor. I think the most notable entry on Tractor was Mitch Hurst at LVO in top 4 LVO. And he ended up going with Gaelic that had Tractor, Proud Tradition, and Biohex script codes, just because he had points left. And actually, Biohex script codes can, in niche times, actually be used in Gaelic, since Gaelic does coordinate for ability. So those are our core 4 FOs. If you start any 6-ship FO, you start with these 4, you're left with 8 points. Do you go recoil and static, or do you pick a duo of 4-point ships that are the FO does have plenty of choices to try out? And on the flip side of things, if you're going 5-ship FO, one, I don't think there's an 8-point ship in FO in standard anyway. But on top of that, you're likely leaving one of these out to get 2 other things in that are higher cost. So, Will, I'll let you kind of go from there as to what direction we want to go in terms of look at more
let's
of the
see.
6 ship options or down to the 5s.
I am offended if you dismissed all other 3 and 5 options as just recoil and static, because I'm making a strong case for Hollow as that replacement for recoil. Just a little bit more utility as far as like passing tokens, get the mag pulse, things like that. You could reach and go a size shuttle, either in the that 5 points with a tyranny. If you're really worried about things like Gideon, Iden, Lats, the Born for this, if you want to try to counter that. But the 2 4-pointers, I think actually have I think it's very interesting that in a faction where like you have to bring these 3 ships, but also you have like 12 other options to choose from after those initial ships, whether it's Whispers or TISFs, or even throwing something like Gideon out there to start supporting the rest of the TIE FOs.
And we're not even touching the silencers. Silencers are still options to take. Kylo, specifically in the Whisper, is still a pretty solid.
Yeah.
Then you have the combination, again, if you're taking...
So it's going more into the 5-ship at that point.
Yeah. And then if
you mash a 3 and 4 together to get that 7-point Kylo.
So what I was going to say is you can take upgrade Lieutenant Gaelic a little bit, and instead of Lieutenant Gaelic, you go with something like Quick Draw and Phasma, or something, or Hughes, or something where it's you're just adding a whole lot of additional firepower. So there's a bunch. I wouldn't say, I know we named it like the core 4. I don't really think it's the core 4. I think it's the core 3: Malrus, DT, and Scorch, because Gaelic is If you need something to play around to get you to an even or odd number of points in order to get your key piece, whether it's Kylo in the silencer or what have you, that's the piece that quickly pops out.
That's the first one you're dropping.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was about to say, do we all agree that Gaelic's the first one out?
I am.
Yeah.
I like DT. I mean, 3 red dice native almost every turn is hard to pass up for 3 points.
I think it's a difference between a tool that has a lower bar of execution to use, and obviously it's just good, right? But at the same time, that Gaelic ability at the right time can win you a game. It can completely flip it.
So could an ion or tractor cannon in I-5 too. Let's not discount their effects that they have.
But I mean, that's kind of the whole point of them. Is like a force multiplier that, like, even if one of your ships dies, you have 5 ships still to follow it up with. Whereas, like, once you start reducing down to like 5 or 4, it doesn't have the same value.
How come when you say multiplier, it sounded like you said, it's a multiplier, like you have multiple pliers?
If I have 2 identical pliers, is it a pair of pliers?
Yeah, because it would be a multiplier if it was 2 pair of pliers that were somehow attached into a singular plier that was now a multiplier.
Okay, just making
now that
sure.
we've
the Voltron of pliers. This is quite the tangent. It's great.
It's amazing.
I would be curious. So I generally agree. I think Valorous, DT, and Scorch, unless you think you can overcome and you're bringing 2 other things that bring so much damage that you want to bring Gaelic for the utility end of things. And
Sure.
I would only go Ion Cannon Gaelic at 5 ship. I think Tractor, you need the 6 ship version to get more out of. But I'd be curious in general, because I know there's some pretty diehard FO people that do prefer Gaelic over one of the 2 Scorcher DTs. So whether it's in
I mean, I5 is nice.
comments
Turns
on
out.
whenever this goes up on YouTube or in Discord for GSP, respond to GSP.
Yeah, it's tough because the thing is, you can add the shield upgrade to Scorch and DT and still keep that 3rd dice. Gaelic, you're basically sacrificing that shield in order to get that 3rd dice.
He's a cannon, though. We actually.
So Marcel, in when you're looking at a lot of lists right now that have a Poe, an Anakin 7B, a Vader, these higher initiative ships that can move and have speed and maybe hard to catch for these FOs, is it more important to get attack dice on them that might be the only shot that ship ever gets shot with a regular attack, or if you can trap them with an ion cannon?
Well, I mean, obviously the ion cannon. Yeah, I mean, obviously an ion or even a tractor and just pushing them back into an arc or making your remaining shots mean more. But I mean, if you're playing against something like that, you just take your TIE fighters and set traps or go for the objectives. Like, I don't think it's necessary to catch one of those fast ships. If you're playing against a fast ship, just know that ship's gonna run around doing things, but there's gonna be buddies that you can kill and objectives you can get.
Well, there you go. Sorry,
Well,
go
I
ahead.
was going to ask just one last thing about, because Marcel, you've been playing it. I played a version of it as well. We heard Rob say that large bases and sometimes the objectives, what was it, the scramble as well as assault hours problems. What do you really think that that feeds on these type of lists, either 5 or 6? Who is really their biggest obstacle to overcome?
For me, I've lost 2 games. One of them against you, and that was like you beat me like in 2 rounds.
Oh yeah. Well, that was Darth
yeah.
Vader Defender. You gotta look out for him.
Yeah. So Vader Defender, bad, hurt, pain, ugly. Didn't like it. And the other list that's given me trouble is the token sharing
The Siege.
Republic one. Yeah.
Or
And
this.
yeah, and it's because they are so maneuverable. They're higher initiative for the most part, and it's hard to push damage through in a single round. Like you're nipping at them a little bit at a time, and when the entire list is moving after you and repositioning, it makes it hard to kind of keep it on target. So you need burst damage in order really to win that. You need either burst damage or you need the opponent to kind of feed you one. Which
Or
they might.
get a tractor through, actually.
Yeah, or the track. I mean, I forgot how. I mean, it was a pretty close game, Ryan. I think the one you and I played, you were playing that type, and it was pretty tight. But I think if we play that game 3 or 4 times, like you win 70-80% of the time. Like you just had a couple like missed corners where like I could have got shot that guy or something. It's a tough list to get against.
I've had a lot more reps against Variation of 6FO than I expected to get before Worlds, and it was weird because when I first went against it, my issue was with the Republic list that I'm using is that beyond Anakin 7B, my spike offense, or I don't have a lot of consistency offense, but I do have some situational spike offense, but I have to finesse it to get it right without losing a guy or putting someone in too bad of a situation or giving up some objectives. There's a lot of ways to really play that list and maximize, which is what I've enjoyed a lot. It's like I'm learning every single game. Beyond that, and actually from that, I started having difficulties with 6FO because I wasn't getting the offensive push through that I needed to really start getting those ships down, making sure I can win the rest of the way, control the objectives, and make sure Anakin can be set free and do as much damage as he needs to do. As time's gone on and I've got more reps with it, I've realized the power that I have against that list, and whether with the defensive token stacking on top of flexing ships like Contrail and Obi to do a little more things than I knew they could do to start with. And instead of the 6FO list becoming more of a higher difficulty to beat for me, my view of it is I have a pretty good plan against it and feel much more comfortable against it now. And I think that could be said for a lot of 6-ship list. Most people on an average player, it does not have a lot of experience facing 6-ship lists or more. There is an intimidation factor to that, especially when you see a majority of them bringing 3 defense dice and 3 attack dice in some capacity, like the First Order can. Or, like we saw with the Resistance list in the finals of the Sector series, they pretty much had ships that could bring all 3 die attacks in some capacity between Finn, between Kaz, Zay, Lulo, conditional trick shot with Rorby, BB-8 it's just 2 points, so like you're not gonna get a 2-point chip with 3 attack dice anyway, so just go do objective things and be annoying. And even the 6-ship clones in Republic is a thing too. You get those 2 arcs, basically all the born for this stuff from SOC minus the 4-point torrent and then like Stub and a Z95. Similar aspect. They're all bringing a lot of stuff that's gonna try and weather you with a lot of average to maybe well-modded shots, but their maneuverability isn't there normally. And if it's your job to outposition and find things to isolate, so that you're putting more shots into your target than what they're returning back at you. Because that's always the difficulty: is people trying to find ways to take stuff off the board without getting a mass return fire in exchange and lose something bigger, right? Like an average game you could see with someone who doesn't have experience against 6FO, you could see a piece like, oh, Poe Dameron's gonna run in, throw a proton torpedo at this ship, and like Kaz is gonna follow up, and then all the FOs shoot back, and now Poe's dead. Like, you need to know not to put those ships in situations to where, oh, they can all shoot at me. That's not good.
All right, so there you go, our Boogie Fam of the week. Those low-pointed FOs, you got to watch out for it. And again, who know? There's no way to know, but I'm always curious to see. I like to see the little bumps that happen after major events, whether they be community events. I mean, anything with like 60+ people is gonna cause just these small changes in the meta, and we will see how that affects the World Championship here in a few days. Like, it really is a few days at this point. When you listen to this, if you're not watching live, you're watching at the official release. I mean, World starts in 2 days. We are setting up 24 hours after you've heard this for the first time through our YouTube channel or our podcast release. Like, it's crazy. We are right there.
I can't get my voice that high, but it's the final countdown.
It's the final count. Not going to finish it because I'm not willing to pay royalties on that. All right. Anyway, let's keep going. All righty. So, one of the things I did today on Discord, I was like, listen, people, community. What are your thoughts? What are your predictions, your bold predictions? What are your hopes for Worlds? What do you want to get out of or see come out of or hope to experience in and around or through the stream at Worlds? And I want to start with us. I know one of our ideas here was just kind of like putting out some predictions on what could come out of Worlds. Marcel, I know this kind of little segment was your idea. Kind of go ahead, lead us through this.
Well, it was more like, hey, I'm bored. Let's talk something. Let's do stuff. So here's what
you're terrible. You already broke the wall. You're terrible at transitions. Like, I was trying to be like, let's play this super slick, and Marcel's like, yeah, awesome. I thought of this 2 seconds ago. Let's do it.
The most amazing thing ever, and I totally did not steal it because the crates were doing something. I'm like, hey, let's do it. Yeah, so it's just I thought it'd be fun because we always do like what is it called? The something prediction.
Bold prediction?
Yeah, we always do like the bold predictions, and we do one. And I was just kind of thinking to myself these questions, like I wonder what. So I thought it'd be more fun to just kind of do it as a group. Yeah. So just trying a couple different like high level questions, and so I added a couple on there. I don't know if you guys had a couple more, but I'm curious I think it'd be fun to keep score though, to actually remember these down.
We will, you know what, we'll put it in the notes. We'll even let the we'll put it in the notes here. All right. Okay. All right, go ahead, lead the way, Marcel.
Oh, wait, yeah, and let me do the first one like this, actually.
That takes out a very large percentage of the player base, though.
Yeah, no. So
the
reason I was saying, because the first question I was asking is, what country is winning Worlds? But I think genuinely this year the U.S. is probably around 90% of the field. So that would be
That's probably a little high. We'll get some Canadians that'll make the trip.
Well, I mean, we will, but if you add the LCQ plus regular,
there's a significantly higher percentage of participation.
Yeah. So the first one is, what country will be the highest ranking, whether it's winning it or if a U.S. player wins it, second, third, whatever place. So, what do you guys got?
Who goes first?
I'll go. So I'm going to say that a Dutch player.
That is quite specific, and I bet very few listeners, unless you're Dutch, would think that. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna.
You title it non-USA highest ranking, so you want the highest ranking player that's not US.
Yes,
Okay.
the highest international player.
Singapore.
That's
Not
good.
player, but country. Yeah.
Will and I were on the same wavelength here.
I'm taking Canada.
I'm taking Canada as well. Yeah, absolutely.
It's home field. I mean,
it's like
maybe not home field, but
I have no
they
idea if the
have
person I
to
have
a
in
lot
mind
less
is
traveling.
going to Worlds, though, so it's a huge hedge bet on this one.
Well,
I mean, Ryan, I think you and I both just picked a singular player that we think was.
Yeah, pretty much.
all right, well, that goes with the next section, right? So you said name a player.
Well,
you said
no,
cost.
because this includes US now, so.
Oh, okay.
What?
All right. So it's just now name a player, whoever ends highest in the rankings. I'm just gonna ride Team Canada, and I'm gonna say Cam Murray. All right, he's got to show up though, because here's the thing: I'm not calling Cam out, but there's times where he comes in and he's just like destroying the world. It's either that or dude just doesn't show up and it's just having a bad day. And it happens to everybody. And I love you, Cam. I love you, brother. But you got to show up so that I win this wager. Thanks. It's for me, not for you.
I'm gonna say old reliable, but he is definitely not old. He's just been in the scene a while. Duncan Howard himself. How can you not?
That's a good bet.
I'd be like first draft pick in a fantasy X-wing player draft for me.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I went with Ali. I think we've seen enough times where defending champion is also the runner-up at the next one. So Ali wants it.
Will's pondering. He's going through his roster.
I'm trying to think.
Checking the waiver line.
Trying to check who's even going for sure. I don't feel embarrassed if I say a name that they're not even going. That's an automatic loss, I'm pretty sure, in this category.
I might have an automatic loss with the non-US highest ranking anyway.
Hold up,
Marcel, since maybe we didn't say the name of the person within our
Oh, you
player,
should.
do we want to say who we're referring to with Dutch and Singapore then?
Sir, and I'm not even sure if I'm correct on the country. And if he is from a different country, then I will switch my pick to a different country. I had Fan.
Van Langelaan. He's from the Netherlands?
Yeah, Netherlands is Dutch. So.
Well, but that's not a.
I think you have to write the actual country then.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Look,
Dutch.
Dutch is
It's like the Netherlands. They're the Dutch.
All right. Mine refers to XY.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the right country, though.
Well, okay. So here, if here you go, Will, I'll let you pick yours, and I will change my.
Mine's gonna be similar. Well, in a way. I was double checking. P. Heaver signed up for the World Championship. Must have already had his invite. So that's the true old reliable. Might have been out of the scene, but hopefully he can get back into it. I wish I could. What do I say? Maybe it's probably not a bold prediction, but I believe that it's the winner, right? Whoever does the highest. Wait, let me look at these categories again. Maybe I'm skipping ahead. Name it pilot in no. So the what kind of ties into this is that. I don't think it's actually going to be an out of the blue player who wins it. Winning a gauntlet of 13 games, if you aren't playing in the last chance qualifier, means that you not only need to be like up to date, extremely practiced, but also be have like the stamina, the endurance to run day after day of that. Someone who's not going to get fatigued by that. So I'd actually say
we need to have a combine. We need to have people like running 20-yard dashes over here. It's like, what's your
I know.
what's your vertical?
Yeah, what's your reach? What's your table reach? How far can you
I was gonna
boost?
say, what's your table reach? What's your tile spinning?
Yeah, exactly. You got one hand out. But yeah, so that's my honest opinion that's probably not going to be an unknown. Someone who's already won a tournament. Fortunately, though, not too many single-day tournaments happening on the last. There has been a few, but not as many as we would hope for. No, like big like Gen Con or anything.
All right. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. What's our next category, Marcel?
Just which faction's gonna win. And I think we might have given this one already, so it's a kind of a repeat. And I'm going with the First Order because
that's what you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to win, so it's going to be
Are we
right.
hedging on ourselves bet besides Dion right now?
That's right. That's right. I believe in me. I will be undefeated, but also no wins. I'm going to go Empire. I think it's a safe bet. It will be undoubtedly the most represented faction because it almost always, not always, but it almost always is. I mean, I'm gonna go Empire. Just old reliable.
I'm going to take Republic, and not because I think it might be the best faction, but I do believe it's a faction that has an extremely high ceiling. So someone who is a master of X-Wing can take Republic, Anakin specifically, Obi-Wan, things like that. Even maybe Six Ship, I don't know, clones. But they have potential to beat any list. Mm-hmm. So if out of everybody, I think there'll be someone out there who can find that ceiling.
Such kind words from you, Will. Thank you so much. I'm actually going Empire. I'm playing it by the numbers. Like, Empire's probably going to show up the most. A lot of people, and it's not because they're just popular. They're also really good.
They are, yes.
All right, moving up. Name a pilot that will be in the final. So I guess you have to go back to it could be your faction or it could be the runner-up. So a pilot in the final.
Well, you could also, if we're trying to play a game, you could also hedge and pick a completely different faction, like I am going to. I'm going to go and say.
And if you're going Vader, you got to say specific. Like,
come on.
We're not saying that, like Vader,
Yeah,
like
Vader.
there's 7
Anakin
of them.
Skywalker, all timeline versions.
Anakin, Darth Vader.
He knew I was going straight for that
pilot,
BS right there. I was going
The
straight for
entire
it.
Skywalker family.
Okay, fine. I guess forcing a decision. I will say Scorch in the TIE FO.
Oh yeah, I forgot you have to. There's another Scorch that actually exists.
I don't want to get DQ'd, on a technicality.
That would be insane if Bomber Scorch was actually if you got it actually wrong, but it was the wrong
Right. It was. I was like, what?
That's no way.
Excuse me.
All right. I'm gonna go with Boba Fett in the Scum.
In the Scum.
Does he fly something else?
I don't know. He's a crew
I don't
card.
think he flies in
Just
Scum.
checking.
He doesn't play.
It's Scum and Separatist, so he said.
Yeah, Separatist. Wait, do I have to specify Siege if I say Contrail?
It's a pilot.
Yeah.
I would say so. Similar to
The X1 Raider. X1 Raider, you gotta say which.
Spoiler: regular Contrail's better.
Yeah, I'll just take I'll take 7B then. Any 7B.
Just needs to be in the final. Man, I don't believe. We're gonna go Captain Faroff. Oh man, everyone loves Vizier, and I think they're wrong.
No, Pharaoh. I think people have made the
I
change
hope
over.
so. You know what? No, I don't hope so. Fly more Vizier. Yeah, it's totally fine.
More of a-
I promise he'll last more than one round. It'll just be 2.
Is that everyone? Oh yeah, Ryan said Captain Pharaoh, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Which pilot will be used in the Worlds? We're talking about Friday, actually Friday basically, because on Friday, which is going to be the most used pilot, and I'm actually going to go with Boy Vader. I think it's probably going to really end up being one of those 2 or 3 point set pieces that are, but I'm going to go with Boy Vader.
Yeah, I would like to go Contra or Click in this, but the fact that there's 2 versions makes me have to go Malorus. I would go as far as to say as Malorus gets 100% FO conversion.
I would sure hope so. I don't know what kind of FO list he does it.
I don't know what kind. We don't.
Kind of, if you're listening to this now and you haven't packed for Worlds and you haven't left on a plane yet and you're bringing F first order and
We
don't
just
have
called somebody
Malorus,
out. We don't
Go back home.
We don't mean to call
just
you
go
out.
go back home. Take your return flight. No, you don't go back home to get it. No, you just go back home.
Actually, I changed it. I'm going to go with the Black Squadron TIE Fighter. I think
Black Squadron
You mean
Ace.
Black Squadron Ace?
the 2 point, the 2 point
Ace?
in Empire.
Black Squadron Ace.
I3.
Give him his credit, they're an ace.
Okay,
They're
Black
nice.
Squadron Ace then. The I3. I think
And
that'll be the
two-pointer
most.
filler in Empire is pretty big. As much as Vader has shown up a lot, if we are specifying which Vader, I'd rather not specify which Vader and go by what people have taken a ton of in Empire anyway, than Iden Versio.
Yep. And then I was on the same boat. The first one that came to me was Iden, and I was trying to dig for another one, but that one seemed, for me, makes the most sense. If we see the most Empire, you're gonna see Iden very high conversion in Empire, unless people are bringing, they're trying to do some funky 3-ship thing, which I don't think people are still trying anymore, but you never know. All right, these were these were fun, but there's a couple more.
Well, we don't have to do the last one, but there's one more. I'm genuinely interested in this one. I think this one's interesting. The Cinderella story. So basically, a pilot, an X-wing pilot that we don't expect to be in the cut, and don't be like, it's Delta 7B Anakin. So give me some.
I mean, this is more of a question, because this might be my answer if this is yes, but everyone's been so focused on Poe Falcon. Is Poe T-70 unexpected at this point?
I wouldn't call him. I think he's.
No. He's
I think
still
too many
good in.
people have
He's
jumped
still
ship
good in
off the
both.
T-70. Like I
I
think
don't-
Falcon
I
and
don't like
T-70 are equally
7.1.
good.
I know at least from one store in Chicago, 4 different people are bringing it.
Okay.
Like,
okay. I haven't heard
T-70,
people
huh?
talk about him
Poe,
much.
yeah.
Probably because everyone's trying Falcon, but I think it feels like people have adopted Poe Falcon more and left T-70 behind more than necessary. In my opinion, I think they're both equally good.
I mean, I think the Falcon gets way better time on target, but
It
easily
also gets way better
destroyed though.
time on targeted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the trade-offs you have to make.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna ask the same question as Ryan. See if you guys give me this one or not. T-70 Wedge. and the X-wing I6.
T65, you mean?
65.
Yeah, T65. Yeah,
You're talking
Oh.
6-point
Original
wedge.
wedge.
Man
not
wedge.
Yavin wedge.
not Yavin wedge and
OG
not
wedge.
Not baby, not boy.
Yeah, the
He was a
I6.
man.
In the cut?
No, yeah, in the cut, in the top 8. We're going like long shots, right? So
Yes, that would be unexpected. I would agree.
Sure.
I would
Okay.
agree. Anything Rebels unexpected.
OG wedge.
I mean, that's mine is also Rebels. I'm
you
talking.
just called out the entire Rebel faction player base.
Yeah, I mean, we could just put any Rebel
I don't
pilot.
believe in any of you.
Correct.
They
You know what?
have
I'll
a
be
lot,
honest.
but
I believe in the people if they didn't play Rebel. The problem is not the people playing, it's the faction they're playing.
I think someone will have some secret sauce. But
Yeah, someone will find some. Overall, the faction's pretty unexplored. The popularity's so low right now that, and people have gravitated towards other factions that do things better than the Rebel faction can currently do. Not many people have tried stuff outside of throw torps.
Torps is good, but not as good as holding it. Because I'm putting boy Jack Porkins as my unexpected pilot.
That's a good one.
He can. I think Rebels might, like you said, if they're not going torps, might have to go numbers. And Jack Porkins just slots right in there.
For myself, I'm going to go with an old reliable. We've talked about, and I'm actually going Rebels as well on this one, because I feel like whenever it shows up, it's like we forget about it, and then it shows up, people go, why is that so good? And that's Han Solo, the OG Han Solo in the Falcon. Trick shot, R2-D2, just the whole shebang. Everything re-rolls for days, making you sad and upset because he just gets to re-roll, redo the dice every time.
Well, is Jack from UK playing?
I don't know.
With
We
him
we got
and-
a couple. We got UK players come. I don't know if
Jack is that guy
Jack
that always
comes.
flew
The Falcon. Yep.
with like the Falcon with Jake.
With Jake. Yep.
Yeah. Actually, let me change from OG Wedge because nobody's said Sunterfell, and I think Sunterfell, or is that like the old reliable?
I know where you're hedging your bet on with that one. I know exactly.
That's not really. I would not say like.
I mean,
yeah,
he is
a-
unexpected at this point. The problem is he's not
Winterfell
probably
and-
as unexpected with the person who's using him that Marcel has in mind.
Ali Bucknell.
Well, I did say he would win. I'm kind of like, if I'm saying he would win, he's flying
Yeah,
that.
you probably
and
should
that
have
is-
something from his list in your thing, right?
Yeah. Because nobody else.
I mean,
as
if he's
well.
rated to win, I don't know if that's underdog then.
Yeah.
Well, no, you didn't pick him to win. You picked it like we just had to pick a random a player in mind that we think would earn the highest ranking.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they had to win.
Fair.
But no, I said Wedge, so I'm gonna keep Wedge. That was my first take. So I think OG Wedge is my Cinderella story.
All right, what rebel are you choosing?
I'm not choosing a rebel because I feel
Okay, good. Good.
But also, I know which one I would say right away, but they don't want it to be made public.
Oh, secret sauce.
I have to keep the secrets for
Secret
the people who want to
sauce.
keep secrets. But I will say, I think this is something that's pretty unexplored by most people. But I think some people have stuck with their guns on this, and it has paid dividends for some. So many people, when they focus on 5-ship resistance, and this doesn't have to be only 5-ship resistance; it can be 4. This is how the numbers work out for it. But people have looked at the 7-4-4-3-2 for Poe. 7-point Poe, 2 4-point ships, Lulo, Kaz, Finn, and BB-8, or 7-4-3-3-3. You can technically do a third variation, 7-5-4-3-2, or in 4-ship lists. We saw, or at least I noticed, in Kyber Cup, one of the finalist teams utilized a 5-point resistance ship. This person may even be in chat, Mr. Mark Myers himself, utilizing Covenell. Leia crew can do work not only on Kova, but for also all the other ships around. And with the pieces Resistance have in place, I think Covanel is a pretty well unexplored ship beyond the people who stuck to guns. And Mark Myers did perform well at Gen Con, making cut with Resistance and Covanel.
I was muted that entire thing. So during this evening, I went ahead and posted on our Discord saying, like, hey, let's give us your predictions. It was very open-ended, and I want to see what the people said. So this is essentially GSP Reacts. Let's go ahead and react. Let's go ahead and find out what the people thought will be happening. So let's go ahead here. We might need to adjust the screen a little bit. Oh, that's pretty good, actually. All right. Let's see what takes we got here. All right,
Make
Chris.
sure the bot worked well. There weren't any naughty words being shown on screen right now, right?
I'm pretty sure we're good. I'm pretty sure we're good. We got some pretty strong filtration going here.
I mean, let's start with our consistent GSP online winner himself, Crispy, and Nova Open winner. He believes the bad guys win again, whether it's Empire, FO, or Separatist. That's like placing a 50% bet. Yeah, like you're
not even
three
so.
Three out of the 7 factions.
Well, 3 out of the 6 because we know Rebels ain't it.
True.
So it's a 50-50 shot.
So, Crispy, if you're in chat, either call your shot and hedge bet on yourself with FO, or Separatist, I guess, since you've mentioned you play that sometimes, or say Empire because it's the most popular. He might say eventually on here. I think he replies a couple times.
Look at Chris Molly. That is a bold prediction. Scum showing up and winning without Boba and Kanan. That is...
That would be
I don't know.
Much doubt, but
I could see
bold.
without Boba, without Kanan, whole other story.
No, I mean, Scum is just similar to when you said Rebels is unexplored. Scum is highly unexplored because of how powerful this combination is. But in more casual events, I see a ton of people like playing around with Manaru, Dengar, and just like different set pieces that are pretty good, sneaky good. Like makes you remember like, oh man, like these ships are pretty good. So, I mean, that might be on. There's a possibility, but definitely Boba Kanan are the top ones. We can't scroll down because I don't think, well, Dion's not here to be able to scroll. So the other one is Mike Thompson, bad guys. No, that's not very bold. Bold prediction from Crazy Vulcan. Something will be it. God.
So that's actually the one I wanted to bring up. Is I mean, that's kind of common for our community. I think that's common in kind of all gaming communities, is the cynicism that pops up almost immediately when anything gets announced. Maybe we hedge that, and not hedge that, but kind of flip the question and say, maybe what would be announced? What do you think would be the most positively received thing that they could say?
More scenario packs.
Dice and price packs. Oh, go ahead. You were saying some more scenario packs.
Yeah, like I mean, they said in past streams that they were gonna have Starkiller Base and Battle of Endor probably as the next 2. I think that would generally be received well. New product scenarios have done well. Standardized cards have been pretty popular, well received. I think the sequel would like their pack soon.
Okay, honestly though, Dice would make me the happiest, but
But I mean, is that
I
really
would
something
say-
that we
no,
would
no,
end
no,
up getting
it's not-
announced at?
No. It wouldn't, and I was just being super selfish. I think that something that would be greatly appreciated if announced or shown more than announced is showing a artwork or a design or the ships being included in faction entry packs, like new player
The
faction
starter
packs.
sets that they've been talking
Yeah.
about.
I think getting a visual on those starter packs would
Getting-
be pretty awesome.
Either a visual or an announcement of which ships will be included.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that would. How do I want to say it? That would build, I think, confidence in the community, right? Because it's AMG building a product for not just retention, which is what most of your content is. It's for attraction of new players, right? And making that more accessible.
To me, that would be. I also agree. But to me, it would show an investment.
That's
right?
the word I was
Like,
looking for. Yes.
Yeah. So like, not. I mean, as much as we could do hot shots. And aces like up to 10, and I don't think Emo would be sad about getting new pilots or new scenarios, right? But the even if it's like print by play or whatever it happens to be, I don't think anyone's going to be sad about that. But seeing that investment, that it's not that they're, well, I mean, you know, it like we want to keep it how it is. Seeing them be like, we want to make it bigger than it ever was, kind of mentality to it, would be very uplifting. And I think that would be something that, yeah, the whole community could get around. I know, like most people, like, you already have a bunch of models and stuff, so you might not be buying the course, but you just being able to point to a single product, being like, you want to play X-Wing? Like, I can
Choose a faction. Go.
yeah, like, which of these 7 things would you want? And you're set and ready. Like, it seems like a no-brainer to see that investment, like I said.
Very cool. Let's keep it rolling here right here. Martini winning faction says Scum and Villainy, bold prediction, Empire and FO will be 99% identical. That is, I mean, it would probably be a high percentage, right? Maybe they might be thinking pilots. Maybe use of pilots, like a high. I think that is a over exaggerated way of saying the FO and Empire pilots are going to be real similar. Now, I think this one's crazy. New scenarios being used at Worlds.
Well, they didn't say
that would
maybe like one of the little side tables or something. Possible.
That I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie The Wizard, but that is my absolute favorite hope, is that they're like, okay, you're at the finals, and they like bring out like the store kit with a new scenario in it, and they're like, okay, here's the rules for you. Good luck.
It'd be like an extra 15 or 20 minutes they'd have to give the players, or 30, just to understand, like, what are we doing?
Yeah, feel free to read the rules. Timer starts now. You know what I mean? Like, get to it.
Luck.
Yeah, that would be amazing, man. What kind of like think on your feet situation they were to be put into would be amazing.
For the final, that would be hilarious.
That's what I'm saying.
Just for the final, yeah.
Just for the finals, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think while I think that would be fun, you definitely get people saying that, well, that you like, oh, but you changed the rules of engagement in the final, like it's not representative of what everything else that happened in the tournament. Something of that sort, I think, would probably be the complaint, alongside of neat idea, unless it was announced beforehand that would be happening, because then any people who like it would have the argument of saying, well, you were made aware that something would happen.
You know, go back a couple scrolls up to where, you know, something will be announced that people will be angry at.
Yeah, that'd be that.
The new scenarios.
It'll be anything. There'll be something. So might as well make it fun and make it in the final.
I think Nutano, a little bit of a scroll down, had a lot. Winning faction, first order will rise. Bold prediction. No Boba Scum list will make top cut. They hope to see more Thai RB heavies, aka the brutes. You'll probably see Ubel. That's like most likely one to be there. This is pretty wholesome though, but looking forward to putting faces to names and Discord handles. Hopefully some socializing with some X-Wingers from all over. I mean, that's the meat and potatoes of this all, really. Getting to see everyone, some camaraderie, go out to eat, go chat, do all the stuff with each other in person this time. That's the fun part.
You know what we should do? I think I'm going to order them right now. I'm going to order some stick-on name tags. What do you think? I know we're going to have the badges, but
As long as there's 2 lines for like the real name, and then if people want to put their name, that people would know them online.
It'll be the big.
Yeah,
it'll be like the big square ones, right? Like that's probably the easiest ones to do.
It's for your online name. Like, hey, you might know me as Sunset Cyber, but because you might not recognize your actual name. All right, you throw Crispy on there, or whatever you might go as.
The last comment I want to specifically highlight is Pirate Pake or Pake. Just a simple, bold prediction. GSP will place 3 in the top cut. I appreciate the confidence in us. Thank you very much. All 3 of us make the top cut. Money.
That would be ridiculous. Can you hear it?
How much would GSP
Rigged!
Dion, you're not playing. So, what's your...
So you're saying there's a chance?
Oh,
yeah. So there's a
who's
chance.
Dion's champion? Who's Dion's champion?
Well, I don't want to know that. Well, you could say that, but what I'm saying is, how many do you think, if any, will make top 8 out of your 3 co-hosts?
Oh my god,
that
that's so
answer-
brutal.
Hold
There's
on, hold
only
on, hold
8
on.
spots.
So the
Yeah, it is.
answer to that one will give you a +2 or a -2 in our other predictions, bold predictions.
0.
I think if Dion gets this right,
I'd say 0.
I think
0.
my safest answer is 0.
you are correct by the numbers. Your safe is 0.
Right.
But what if we add James Ritter and Nick Sperry into that list too, or anyone who's been helping along with GSP?
James
Well,
isn't
helping out
playing.
is kind of, but yeah. How about James and Nick as well?
Well,
That's
Nick is
5
playing,
people.
but James is casting, so this is one. The answer's
so
still
James is
0.
0.
The answer's still 0.
I only added 1. Never mind.
Oh,
And if you,
Grimwolf as well as
if you
playing.
change that one from 0 to 1, that tells us who you're putting your money at.
Yeah, I'm leaving my answer at 0. I think mathematically it's the right choice, but I would love to see all 3. I would be
It's a
so
challenge, is what you're
hyped.
saying.
I would just be on the mic screaming like the whole time is what would be happening. Like I'll already be excited, but if my 3 guys like are in the top cut at Worlds, we're casting it officially, not like shoved in a corner for the first time. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Let's go.
I will promise you, if we meet in the finals, I'm gonna offer you an intentional draw by Lupin.
Intentional draw. Wait, this is collusion, by the way. There's no judges present.
There's no judges present right now.
La 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 la. Hear nothing. I don't know what
yet.
you just said.
Oh, Grimwolf's gonna be playing too. Grimwolf's got to make it out of the LCQ, but yeah.
Does that change your number, Dion?
Yeah, 1. Let's go. 1. Let's go. Grimwolf. He's such a nice guy. He does so much for us. Let's go. Grimwolf all the way. All the way to the final table. Let's go, buddy. All right, let's see. Dion will forget to unmute. I only do that on the podcast. I don't do that live most of the time. I don't think I have. Yeah, most of it. You know what I mean?
Well,
They won't know because they don't see your mouth.
This is true.
Yeah, do you have your stream deck set up at home?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Oh, it has the giant green and red to let me know whether it's live or not. It doesn't work if you don't look at it.
Fair. Well, fair.
Alrighty, let's see what else we got here. Here we go, Jason. Bold here, winning faction Rebels. Not so bold prediction. Whatever wins will be declared completely broken. Shouts for major points change. Of course, every time. Here's a question. What I'm gonna again take his answer and flip it here. What is something that if it won, people would be like, you see, broken? What would be that thing?
Defender Vader or Kanan Hawk.
My first one came to my mind was Kanan.
Yeah, I'd say probably. We just have to give only one, or what things? Because there's a few like Defender Vader, Kanan, Boba Fett.
Well, Marcel, maybe I'll to show you how bold I'm going. A list that has more standard loadouts than not, I think, would infuriate, cause outrage, if you will.
I was wondering that like, so if Worlds ends up being the majority of the list that wins is standard loadout, do people then go up in arms about how, quote, easy it is to get such value out of these standard ships, and they just get put into the game and they're automatically really, really good,
right.
OP, argument, etc.
Fly better.
Correct.
But I mean, also the easy response to that is, now here is where I think that gets crazy. Like if you look at the top 8, right? If you look at the top 8 and every single one has nothing but standardized loadouts, that's where maybe there might be a problem, right? But there's a very high percentage chance that that's not going to be the case, where you're going to see a good smattering within your top 16, top 32 of both standardized and not standardized. Like you go like, essentially your winner when it comes to the amount of people playing is a statistical anomaly. All right. Now it's an anomaly that we put a lot of weight into, but if it's such a small sample size, like you can't, like if just final table it happens, but like the top 16, 32 have a even distribution, I don't think it's that big of a deal. There's still some people who say it though, because that's the internet. Let's see what else we got here. Bender looking forward to grabbing the popcorn, streaming World. It's going to be a good time, friends. New content announcement. Yep.
The opposite bold prediction of Marcel. Bold prediction: Ollie doesn't make top 32.
Oh.
Specific call out there.
Calls him out.
Sandy. Bodica Fang Rebel in top 4. That's interesting.
Sandy's a huge fan of that ship.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Bodica. It's just in the Rebel faction.
Grimwolf in the chat asking, do they have beer carts at Worlds? Yes, that's an Adepticon feature. They have people on. They look kind of like ice cream trolleys, and they're just kind of going around. Ding,
Yeah,
ding,
I call
ding,
them
ding,
tricycles, but there's 2 wheels in the front, which is kind of not what you might think of when I say tricycle.
Cash or credit? That I
Do
don't
people
know.
plan to bring cash for it, or do they accept credit?
They probably should plan for cash.
Plan for cash, and don't be surprised if they allow you to use your card. It's 2023. Things have gotten better. More accessible. Alrighty, let's see. Christopher Jenner, more Maybe a spoiler on the YT2400 changes. What if they just straight up announcement? It's done, fully baked. Here you go. Oh, what is this? What is this bold prediction? Arcs will make the cut.
It's someone hedging on themselves.
Yeah, they've been flying 6-ship socks. We saw it in the cut of the Sector series.
Let's see. Lego Boy says, hope to see a 7-ship list that's not Resistance or FO make the top 8. What is a 7-ship?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's probably going to happen, right? There's always people who I guess the CIS lists that are out there right now are like 4 and 5 ships.
I think Isophane's running.
That's true. Yeah.
Running 7.
You can do that.
He might be the last 7 left though.
Empire also has, Empire also has some options, but he said Resistance. There is no Resistance.
You can do 7.
So.
You can do 7
No,
Resistance.
I mean, not Resistance.
Not recommended.
Oh yeah, you can't do it.
Because you don't have a 2-pointer.
Ship, you must have 2-point ship.
But he probably meant Empire.
All right, and our last one here, FO says, winning faction FO, bold prediction announcing essentially changes to the game, the way it works. I highly doubt it. Worlds would not be the place to do that. I think that'd be pretty bad marketing. Announcing new scenarios, like additional scenarios, I think would be cool. I think that is definitely a possibility. AMG, this is just some free marketing advice. If you plan on doing any of these, announcing any type of major changes to the rule set, don't do it at World. Don't do it. Wait at least 6 months and then do it.
No.
Right.
Yeah, if they are doing a presentation, you do big flashy
make
art
people
spreads, products, right? Like,
that's right.
It's not the place to be vague that we might maybe in the future could have.
Kind of, sort of. Let me know what you guys think. All right, man. Oh, we are on the cusp, friends. People are traveling. We're packing and preparing. The world is essentially here. I got a super sweet set of shirts that I'm wearing that day. One of my shirts is like symbols from episode 1, not episode 4 of like the Death Star and the targeting computer. It looks awesome. It looks awesome. I'm probably gonna wear that one for the final. But yeah, like I do think about my wardrobe when it comes to streams. Okay, I hope you guys know. Right, like that. It matters. It matters to me. Gotta look good. Gotta look good. Now, Isophane had said, he said, I'm at the store right now. Do you want me to pick up some sticky name badges? Sure. I did order some. Maybe I could cancel my order. For there, we're gonna need Sharpies too, because people are gonna steal them. Because that's just what happens. But yeah, I think name tags would be cool. Because the reality is that people don't wear their badges. At least not in a place where you can see it. I want to hear when the TIE bombers are coming out at least. I want to hear about a new ship, something new. I know re-releases are, people want to see some of those extended ships make their way back, but new release stuff I think will make the people most hype.
I think a new faction.
A new faction.
I think I would love to see. Actually, I would love to see a new era, not a new faction. So a new era would have to come with 2 factions,
like the High Republic and the so it would be the High Republic, and or the Old Republic is a possibility. So that would just be like the
not
Jedi.
Enough content, though. I think. Well, not enough content in current
in canon.
Yeah.
I think if they did anything, it would be High Republic and why am I forgetting the bad guy side's name? I'm remembering the guy, like the main bad guy. Shoot.
I haven't seen a single piece of content for High Republic in any type of medium.
It's all publishing. So, if you don't read the books and the comic books, then that makes sense. I think it'll come though. I think it'll come eventually. Worlds, tasty. Any last things before we hit this hyperdrive and get out of here? Nothing. They're just ready. They're just hyped. Maximum hype incoming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Nile. That's what it is. The Nile is what they're called. Well, it seems like Staniszewski already hit that hyperdrive button. He's gone. So we'll get out of here. Chicago 4 says Acolyte is set at the end of the High Republic. This is true. Yes, that's going to be our first visual content of the High Republic, and it'll be great. It'll be great. But that's a discussion for another day. We did have Mando episode 3 drop, so we can do some quick hits on that here. So spoiler warning for Mando episode 3 starting in 5 seconds. Again, Mando spoilers if you haven't seen episode 3 starting now. What'd y'all think? It's been a few days. Did you like it? I feel like it was a pretty good development episode. It was almost an hour.
Yeah, actually, because we watched the Bad Batch, and then right after the Bad Batch, I hit play, and it played for a minute, and then it went into the, and I was like, wait, we're like 5-6 minutes into this, and then I hit pause, and I saw 50 something. I was like, like that was a nice surprise. But obviously that first 5 or 6 minutes was that dogfight.
Yeah.
Like that. I was actually, right as that started, I looked over to Kayla and I'm like, Kayla, I bet you Dion is like blowing his wig right about now because I know he's been hungry for those space fights.
Yeah, I need it. It's so fun.
I mean, this is the first time we saw a live action gauntlet.
Yeah, it was so good
as well, right? We saw it in Rebels, in Clone Wars, but the first time it was live action. Had an adorable little tail gun that Mando shot.
That's right. So here's that sequence. That's that atmospheric battle gave me reminders of how hype I got when we saw the animations that they made for Squadrons, where it was just like a really intense in atmosphere battle like that. I was getting just like those same kind of vibes, using the environment, not just being in the sky, creative solutions to things, people not always making the optimal choice, but then narrowly escaping as a hero because storylines, you can't just blow people up and things. But it was good. It was awesome. I'm a fan.
Yeah. And I already think in my head, I've already got like my whole conspiracy on why those interceptors were there. Maybe not why, but around those interceptors being there, like outside of the castle for why? What? Who called them?
They seem to be setting up some pretty big bads.
I think, and it's I don't think it's going to be Moff Gideon because they did him like, oh, Moff Gideon got away and all this other stuff. I think it's going to be Admiral Thrawn, and they're going to use this storyline to introduce Thrawn, or at least into like this current Disney Plus stuff. And there's more. And Bo-Katan, either in her own series or as part of Ahsoka series, this will set up the storyboard for Thrawn, Ahsoka, and Bo-Katan, kind of doing a little bit of three-way tango. That's my story. Because she even said something like, something about like, why would there be such a strong squadron this far in the outskirts or something like that, like these little broken pieces. It's because the only way that happens is if there's like a big admiral there
I was
somewhere.
actually gonna ask you about that. So I mean, obviously, like modified, like apparently Kylo found a TIE fighter with a hyperdrive in it. So, but normally though, TIE bombers and TIE interceptors need carriers, or
Yeah,
do
they
they
don't-
have hyperdrives normally?
They don't have
travel alone.
hyperdrives. Not the standard issues, not the TIE
Not the
INs.
standard ones, right? Yeah, because they're like in a Gonzati or a big carrier or something. So they had to like have been dropped off or flown, like, which is even more terrifying that there's like a Star Destroyer or something flying around there that brought them to that system.
Yeah, because even though we don't see it, like we only have a very specific view, and obviously they don't stick around to be like, oh hey look, it's the Star Destroyer, cute, and then run away. As soon as they could hit that hyperdrive, they were gone.
This is the outer rim where they're at, right? Like Mandalore.
Yeah, Mandalore's in the outer rim.
Yeah.
So it is in the
mid-rim?
outer rim, and that's
It
where
might be
kind of
mid-rim.
Thrawn's thing.
I think it might be mid-rim.
Is it? The chat will say. Somebody will know.
If I can spell it right. No, outer rim. Mandalore.
Okay.
In the outer rim.
So there you go. It's out there in the outer rim. Thrawn's out
I mean,
there
that makes sense, though.
probably.
Like, that
Probably
is like where
Thrawn
the
was in
remnants of
control
the
of-
Imperials would be, right?
Yeah. And
I
that's
know.
probably,
I do agree, though. Like, the space whales, like Ahsoka being, like, so tied together and with Grogu and, well, not so much Mandalore. Mostly Grogu. Ahsoka is, like, that connection, right? So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They're kind of trying to build like almost like a Star Wars like MCU kind of thing, where they're like interconnecting, trying to interconnect more and more.
yeah.
Yep. I like it. We're going to get some big... see, that's where I think Thrawn ends up showing up, is these shows. And, you know, earlier I asked Rob, like, your favorite Star Wars movie. Really, we got to just say Star Wars content now because of, like, how much, you know, streaming, how much, like, TV we're getting now. For Star Wars. But yeah, I could see Thrawn being some type of pinnacle where you see the Ahsoka series and Mandalorian kind of
It's
like
converging.
Kind of like a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 with
Yeah,
Marvel.
like the Avengers
It's all
symbol,
building
like
up towards this. And even
Fennec, Boba Fett shows up, Bo-Katan comes in, right?
Yeah. I'd
Like
be
those
so
X-wing
in.
pilots, the
You know who's still
deputy
a-
or whatever.
Is he
No,
still
I was going to
around?
say there's a. I mean, this happened already. Well, in multiple situations, but specifically in streaming, this already happened in a streaming platform already by the same company. So Disney owned. Didn't they do when Netflix was doing all those shows? They did. They did The Punisher. They did Daredevil. They did Jessica Jones. They did all these Cage, and then it all culminated in the Defenders.
Right.
All of those individual series heroes ended up doing kind of like a Avengers-esque Defenders against the big baddie.
Right.
So I mean, they already did it at Netflix with Marvel. But it does make sense that they kind of do that.
Yeah, it could definitely be, because yeah, I mean it would be great to see, you know, like I think you were listening to Mount Will, like seeing Mando and Boba Fett like fighting together again. You bring, I mean, all right, so you bring in some like you bring in Bo-Katan, Boba, Mando.
Grief
Just the whole gang together. IG-11 resurrected.
Pelly, of course. Black Cranston as well.
Yes! Oh, hype. All right. But you know who's still around during the timeline of the Mandalorian? As Darth Maul. He's still alive at this time. Yeah.
The Mandalorian. No,
Mando,
he died
right?
before-
No, where
he
am I
died
getting?
before Yavin. spoiler alert.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm having.
That's
You know what I was
before.
thinking of?
I'm talking about Clone Wars.
Yeah, I was
Nope.
wrong. Never mind. So Thrawn would be the big
yeah.
big bad
But
guy.
I mean, there could be like we saw Luke, could be Leia, Han as well could be out there. Chewbacca, come on, like he doesn't age. He always looks the same, right?
That's right.
Just
They live
bring him in
forever.
his regular costume. It'll be fun. I guess that's true. Have we seen R2-D2 in The Mandalorian or any of these new shows?
Yeah, the Mandalorian. He came with Luke.
He came with Luke.
In the X-wing, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, in the X-wing, that makes sense.
All right. Well, that's fun. Yeah, Ryan, we're just kind of recapping the latest Mando episode.
Glad I watched it.
Yeah, us too. Alrighty. Well, yeah. Let's we'll end there for tonight, and I'm super excited to see what ends up coming out of the Mandalorian, which will be our first night of Worlds. Snuggled up in the hotel bed watching Mando. It's gonna be a good time, and of course, just seeing what comes out of the World Championships. It's been a long road to get here. Multiple years worth of waiting to get another World Championship, and it is around the corner, my friends. I look forward to watching all the action go down with you at Adepticon. It's going to be a great time. Thanks for watching. Be smart and be safe. It's Seal Worlds. Gold Squadron.